An advocate, comedian, host, podcast personality, influencer, husband, father, and overall great human being. Mr. Vernard Hines, a.k.a. the Laugh Therapist. How are you, my good brother?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I want to add something in there for you. Grandfather.
Oh, your grandfather there?
G-pop.
Man, good. That's good stuff,
Yes,
right
sir.
there, man. Talk about that for a sec.
Man, I got a little grandson, man, named Cash. He's an awesome young man. That's all I say. He's
I
gonna
like
be great,
that, man. I love that
He's
stuff,
gonna be
man.
great.
Yes, sir. We just want to jump right into it, man.
Okay.
So talk about growing up, man. Who was Vernard Hines as a youngster?
Bernard Hines, a youngster, Northview High School, grew up in Oakwood, Norfolk, Virginia. He was unsure of himself, but he knew laughter was a good way to do a whole lot of things in his life. Like become friends with people, hide my trauma, whatever. Laughter was just a great tool. I used to listen to Richard Pryor at 12, 13, and 14. I knew all Richard Pryor albums.
Wow.
I was an unsupervised child.
Weren't we all?
Yeah, I was just there. So I always wanted everybody to like me.
Right.
So that's when my laughter came in. If I could make you laugh, if I could make you, happy, I always wanted to make my mom happy. I always wanted to see her smile.
Wow.
So that's where my laughter came from. Just hiding my trauma, but always wanted everybody just to be accepted.
I love it.
Me.
I love it, man. I love it. So fast forwarding, you're an advocate for those who suffer with PTSD. What spawned that particular passion? And talk about your own personal healing journey.
Well, what sparked that was my time in the military.
Okay.
I'm a 20 years, 7 months and 4 days
Okay.
retired Army veteran.
Okay.
And I found out I had PTSD from the military, but there's a lot of other things in life that can cause you to have PTSD also.
Right.
But the military was the factor that really, really got it going. And I realized that, and when I got to a point of wanting to take my own life, I knew I needed some help.
Right.
This was not normal. I knew something was wrong with me. I just didn't know what it was. There was a lot of other factors going on in my life, my marriage, family not understanding me not understanding myself.
Right.
So I knew, man, something's going on. So when the man told me I had PTSD, bro, only thing I heard was the S, the T, and the D.
Okay.
I ain't know.
And for those who may not know that acronym, what does that stand for?
No, I'm gonna tell him.
Okay,
But when you say the STD, I thought the man said I had an STD.
Man, you
I'm like, hold up, because no one knew what it was at the time.
Right.
So it stands for post-traumatic stress disorder. So I knew there was an uncle of mine who was a Vietnam veteran.
Okay.
And we used to call him shell shock. We used to call him, he crazy, he this, but he had PTSD.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So I did not want to be looked at
right.
as a stigma of having PTSD, folks calling you crazy, folks saying you this, get away from me, they don't want you around, so I hid it.
Right.
But when you hide stuff like that, it comes out in other areas of your life.
Gotcha.
And it did come out in other areas of my life, because when you're trying to process, when you're trying to suppress that trauma,
that's right.
You try to do other things, maybe drinking,
right.
maybe pornography, maybe anything that hides what you're really going through.
Trying to compensate.
Trying to compensate for that trauma.
And even in the black community, we always remember that person who was, that veteran.
Yeah.
And you might see them talking to themselves.
Yeah.
And you might see them, I know my dad told me a story when he was coming up, seeing a guy in his underwears in the snow.
Yeah. Correct.
And we, like I said, we'll throw that blanket statement on them. Oh man, they must be crazy, or they must be losing their mind, but they're suffering.
But how many times have we ever talked about that person that went and got help?
Exactly.
You never hear about that person that went to the therapist, that went and got their mental health taken care of, and you never hear about that. You always hear about the ones who didn't.
Right.
So I want to be that person that say, hey, I went and sought help.
That's right.
This is what it looked like when you go and seek help. You can be productive. You can still, you have issues, but you know how to deal with them. You know how to go and still live a productive life.
That's right. That's right. I agree. Now, for those who may not, or may be unaware, you're also a dedicated Christian or believer.
Yes.
Talk about the balance between Jesus and therapy.
I wore a t-shirt and I didn't wear it today because I had to get it washed. But it says, I talk to God and a therapist.
Okay.
And in the black community, we always used to say, just talk to God, talk to your pastor, talk to this person. You don't, no. Sometimes the pastor is not equipped to handle those type things.
That's right. That's right.
So we have to find other avenues that God has put out there.
That's right.
People ask me, why you didn't just talk to God? I did talk to God. God told me go see a therapist. So I I knew I wanted to talk to somebody in the natural.
That's right.
Just to understand, hey, I want to know how I tick.
Right.
Okay, if me and you was going somewhere and you got in my car and the check engine light was on in my car,
that's right.
You'd be like, hey man,
yes,
we ain't gonna make it down to DC with this check. What's going on? The same thing I feel like when I had a check engine light going on in my head.
That's right.
I need to go find out what's going on.
That's good, man.
I need to go find out what's going on.
And like you were saying before, sometimes, the people that's, in our church or the people that we listen to every Sunday, they may not be equipped. To handle, trauma.
Correct.
So, I believe just like doctors, God made therapists.
He did. And people always say, well, I tried a therapist and it didn't work. Okay, try again.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
We done been to the club plenty of times and it didn't work out, but we went to another one.
Talk about that for a second, because sometimes we'll, like you said, we'll go and we will seek out a therapist. But like I said, the therapist to me is like a relationship.
It is.
Like you said, if one doesn't work, then you may have to seek for another one.
And I heard a lot of folks say, well, I don't want to keep revealing my trauma. I get that. So, but when you go to a therapist, you have to feel comfortable saying what you're going to say. You have to feel comfortable knowing that you might have to dig up some stuff that's in your past that you have to deal with. But you would know if the therapist is right for you.
Okay.
I mean, I can't speak for everybody.
Right.
So let me try to speak for myself.
That's right.
I knew there was a therapist that I knew wasn't right for me.
Okay.
And when I found the one that was right for me, I knew it because I didn't mind going deeper.
Right. Gotcha.
I didn't mind going deeper, and I could see the compassion. I could see them understanding me. I could see them not telling me things I wanted to hear.
Right.
Because therapy is work.
Okay.
You just can't figure you can just go in there one day and everything's gonna be hunky-dory. No, you got to do work. Because you might apologize to some people.
Okay.
You might have to realize, wow, what I was doing was wrong. Because I wanted to look at myself and see what can I do for me so I can be productive in my kids' life.
Wow.
I can be productive in my marriage. I wanted to get better.
That's right. You want to show up.
I wanted to be better. I wanted to be present.
That's good. That's good. Now, how did the Laugh Therapist come about?
Laugh Therapist came about, man, when I first started comedy. I didn't know what the world I was doing, man. So my name was Reverend Peanut Butter and Jelly. See how you laughing at me right there? You see how y'all laughing? That was my name, Reverend Peanut Butter and Jelly. And I got clowned so much. And the guy said, man, Reverend Peanut Butter and Jelly, that can't go. No, you can't. What? So I was talking to a guy and I said, look, man, I need to change my name. What can I do? And the brother sat down and we started brainstorming.
Yeah.
He said, well, what got you to this point right now? I said, well, laughter and a therapist. He said, well, won't you just call yourself the Laugh Therapist?
Wow. Just like that.
Just like that. And I'm like, man. And that name can go anywhere. It can go to the VA hospital.
Yeah.
It can go to a mental health institution. It can go to a comedy club. So that name right there also put laughter and therapist. It made people like, wow, it's going to be something different here.
So what a Rev at now? Is he gone?
No, the Rev's still here because I got 3 people in here, Vernard, Christian, and Felix, okay? So Christian is Rev Peanut Butter and Jelly. I never get rid of Peanut Butter and Jelly.
Well, I love it, man. Hey, look, check it, right? You're a man of many hats. Tell us about your podcast, PTSD.
Hey, my podcast, PTSD, it took me a long time to birth that. God told me to birth it 2 years before I birthed it.
Wow.
But I was scared.
Okay.
Of what people might think. Oh, he's not a therapist. He's not licensed. But might not be licensed, but I am certified, okay?
Right.
I'm a certified peer recovery specialist in the state of Virginia. So I wanted that to be a place where people could sit down and talk about what they've been through and how they processed it. Because I changed the name to Processing Traumatic Situations Differently.
Right.
We all process trauma differently than somebody else. I do mine through laughter.
Wow.
Another person might do that through art therapy.
Gotcha.
Another person might do that through yoga. However you process it legally, and you got to the other end of that.
Okay.
So there is no one way to process it. I feel there's no one way to process it. There's many ways for people to process it. So I want a platform where people can come talk about it. Not professional. You ain't gonna be no professional. You can be an everyday person who have had the trauma. You have dealt with it. You went and got help. Now on the other end, you being very productive in society.
Okay. And when do you guys come on?
We come on twice a month.
Okay.
Every second and fourth Thursday.
Gotcha.
I come online. And I do it online, and I also do a podcast. So it's like a video podcast, and it's an actual podcast on all podcast platforms. It's out there now.
Okay, I got you. On all platforms.
Yes.
Y'all go look them up. Okay. So what would you tell someone right now watching this video who may be hurting in silence?
There's no need to hurt in silence.
Okay.
It is so many resources out here.
Okay.
If you don't know, you can Google, you can inbox me.
Okay.
If a lot of people want that pain to stop.
Right.
So you would do anything to make that pain stop. But I want you to look at me and say, I had pain, I had issues, but what if I had gave up?
Right.
What if I had given up? What would I be able to not have done?
Right.
Now,
Right.
to be very productive. So everybody has something in them.
Right.
And the enemy wants you to give it up.
Give it up. That's right.
You don't see it in you. They don't see, people don't see what I'm going through. No, we might not.
Right.
But at the end, there's resources.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna ask you, do you need help? Because the first thing folks say, I don't need no help.
Right.
Okay, but I got resources for you.
Okay. Okay.
Have
Wow.
resources.
That's right, man. And had you given up, you wouldn't be able to, like at the beginning of the video, we talked about that precious grandbaby.
Correct.
You wouldn't be around for that. So that's good stuff, man. So what's next for Vernard Hines?
Just continue to be a mental health advocate.
Okay.
Any way I can, with laughter, with speaking, with telling my story. It's as I tell my story over and over, I used to think, man, it's just redundant. But you know what though? If I can reach one person, that person reach someone else.
That's right.
That person reach someone else. It's just like spreading the gospel.
Man, a good testimony never gets old.
Never gets old.
Never gets old.
So my job is just to keep spreading.
Well, hey man, Mr. Vernard Hines, always a pleasure, my brother. I just want to thank you for sharing your story with us, man.
And thank y'all for having me.
Yep. Thank you, brother.